I've been playing this game for about a week or so. It's quiet down here. All you can hear is your own footsteps and the harrowing wind of these buildings. But not far from where we walk, there's a new moon. Our protagonist built a helmet that was supposed to allow her to read minds, but instead, it revealed something unexplainable. Something that feels wrong. You begin in a water opening, which I'm not entirely sure why our protagonist starts here, but as we continue on and learn the control, we encounter two entities, one being a nondescript girl while the other is a white dog. Usually when meeting any dog, I observe it before petting it, of course, come on. The dog didn't attack, instead it spoke, urging us to continue forward.
You have much to do. Don't worry, for there is a plan to everything. I'm sure you'll see it in due time, my friend.
We enter a distorted world map with 3 options. You can really choose any secret you'd wish to uncover first, so you know we have to follow the chronological order. But while the game is loading, we get a gameplay tip. However, beneath that is something the woman deem as real-world tips. Don't look at me, I have no idea what she's talking about. Entering the facility, our protagonist revealed that she straight up broke into the building. But it wasn't just what she did, but the fact that she's so casual about it that makes me think that perhaps something is wrong with our perspective. Regardless, we explored the facility for a bit, only to find this. An elevator leading straight to the human waste. Going down the elevator, we find that it's just a normal sewer. I'll admit the layout is strange, but it isn't anything approaching the plant thing. I believe that it's asking us to merge, but this is when the question became obvious to me. Why are we down in the sewage, or better yet, what are we supposed to be looking for? It seems like the deeper we go, the more of those things will appear to try and merge with us, but the only 2 paths is down into the dark or this glowing tunnel. Upon exiting the tunnel, we see this. A diary entry from someone who might have been attacked and infected by those things. On the opposite side of the diary is a blood-stained wall, and upon inspecting it, we find a clue that led us down inside the hidden room reveals a key. Maybe this is the thing we are looking for to escape? Unlock? I walked all the way back to the beginning before I was distracted by that anime face thing. There was a different path upward towards a purple room, but once again, there's a blood-stained wall that leads me to... Going down a little more, we find a red syringe, which I assume is a good thing? Though I don't know who would go around to inject themselves with random syringe they find in the sewer, but across from that is another note. A note that reveals to us what we saw in the beginning. It seems like we are still on Earth, but an Earth that has lost its mass in some way. Going back to the purple room, we stumble upon these lizard women. They are in need of food and a way to cross this endless abyss with massive chains on both sides. What is this place? Are we even in a sewer? I think it's too early to try and fit the puzzle piece together, so I head back to the last place we've yet to explore. A hallway with torches and even a gate that requires a key. What just happened? Why is there now a tongue monster with a face? It scared me pretty bad, and because I never saved, I had to do everything over again. Right after that, we see another face thing. This one was much like the flower from earlier, except it gave us a bit more info on what exactly it is. A species that lives off of human waste from the queen? The thing itself is greasy and slimy, so maybe it's a trash creature? Yeah, I don't trust it. The stairs lead to a junction, but with only one way to go, well... What is that? I had my hammer ready in case that thing charged at me, but as we approached closer and closer, I realized it's just dancing, which really pissed her off for some reason. It is here to guard a key, and if anyone ever took it,
I'd explode. I'd be so mad.
Taking this as literal, I decided to make sure we don't find out. But with the queen key in hand, we can finally make some progress in this strange place. However, the queen key doesn't work on the junction. Only one door remains. But behind this door is something I can't even begin to comprehend. Slowly approaching the creature, this has to be a setup to a boss fight. However, I was quickly proven wrong. This is the queen, and above her is a giant guillotine, ready to end and recycle her. Grabbing the key and heading straight down to the door, we discover a water path and an enemy. Heading down this path leads us to a lever which, once we pulled, lowered the bridge for the lizard people to pass. But once we crossed the abyss, the only thing there was another lever. Hearing that, I think we executed their queen, so I rushed down the halls, but once we enter the chamber, we are met with an embryo. Our protagonist has no word for this thing, so I tried touching it. You got an egg of the earth. Is this what we were looking for all along? Is it important in some way? I guess not. Okay, what do we just go through? What is even the objective of this game? Our planet is somehow losing mass, there's an identical Earth that's the size of the moon, lizard people, an endless abyss in the sewers, and strange creature with human-like faces. I think that maybe this is all a hallucination. These could essentially be poor people living in the sewers. Maybe the aggressive ones are just being territorial and we just killed them in our search for an egg. In order to answer these questions, we needed to continue forward. But what she says next encapsulates who she is as a person.
Hospitals feel like the safest place to me, even though I know they aren't. They're the least safe place. A place that will swallow you whole and give you disease. A place that will cut you open and make others feel good about it.
Once we head down the elevator, we are met with 3 paths, as well as a faceless nurse at the center of the room. In each room are important figures such as Alexander the Great, Cleopatra, and Plato. The nurse explains that the patients are getting constant pleasure from what they enjoy most in life. However, Plato is the most disturbing of the 3 because of his love for touching and smelling children. Going back to the other dark hallway, I found a strange note as well as another secret path. 2 enigmatic figures, Queen of Venus and King of Mercury. But what really intrigued me is that in this world, both planets are not real. But both of these beings are said to have created the solar system and a part of the universe. However, they do not belong to any known religion or culture. For now, we have passed the floating cochlea that used to be a normal person and head down these terrifyingly dark halls. You can barely even see a foot ahead of you. But once we reach the bottom, we find this. A parasite inside of a red room. The nurse told us that this used to be a woman who was experimented on and is now hooked up to a constant stream of dopamine. This is also the first and only time our protagonist hesitates to touch something. Heading back and going the opposite direction leads us to a mini forest area. One with 2 locked doors that require keycards. Keycards that only the nurse have. So behind the locked door reveals the belly of those figures, but upon asking the nurse what's going on, we learn a disturbing truth. Nutrients and meat are siphoned from hospital patients around the world to keep the VIP guests alive. We are currently under a children's hospital. This was the only time I understood our objective, because once we pulled the lever, I repeated this 2 more times. However, I wanted to show you guys this night sky. There's something eerily beautiful about the scenery, the purple moon in the sky reflecting off of an endless ocean. I don't exactly understand where we are, but I took a moment to enjoy the air after pulling every single lever. Back in the main room, the egg of the earth floats before us, but again, she drops the thing into an endless void and stares at us as the light grows dimmer and dimmer. I think from these 2 break-ins alone, we can piece together at least one of our answer. Our protagonist is a major conspiracy theorist. However, this game has a really funny link to the modern age because, much like the Epstein file, these conspiracies turn from theory to reality. Unfortunately, reality is often more terrifying than fiction. After all, how would a writer get inspired? However, I can't rule out that this is all one woman's delusion. Judging by what she said at the beginning of the children's hospital, I feel like our protagonists have been to one many times, and the faceless nurse could represent how she saw the people around her. Maybe the tick is a representation of how she was given medicine just to keep her from thinking or doing something. But that still doesn't explain why she's breaking into these places, or why she's looking for these eggs of the earth. The more I play, the more I realize that the puzzle is a lot bigger than what I had originally thought. So, we explore these transient locations, which the first is a Threat village. Nothing was really interesting beside this singular line. Up on the surface the other day, I saw a human get hit by a car. Everything inside of them spilled out. Nothing but dust and clay. Aside from that, there's a mural of what I believe to be the Queen of Venus and the King of Mercury. So perhaps that unknown religion from earlier is from the Threat people. But moving to the other location was something much more... Here, I think it's better if you see it yourself. A room inside of an infinite void. It's almost as if this is a moment frozen in time. There's a tiny building on top of the dusty TV and...
Repeat. At 3:45 a.m. today, a state of emergency was declared following the appearance of a large unknown insect-like creature in the Melnitz borough of Central City. The creature is unpredictable and is considered to be highly dangerous. This is not a drill. If you are inside, stay inside. If you are outside, find the nearest shelter. If you are thinking, stop thinking. The insect may appear to you as a human. It is not. It is an aberration of your imagination and does not exist. Stay away from the insect, as it is highly dangerous. Do not attempt to communicate with the insect, as it is highly dangerous. The insect is not real. The insect is not real. The insect is not real.
I don't know what to make of this. Not only does this place seem like a bad or traumatic memory, that warning alone only adds more question than answer. What insect is the government talking about? Is it the thing in the sewers? I don't think so, because the announcement would have described a humanoid face. It couldn't be the Thraits because those look more like lizard people than an insect. If this really is a memory from our protagonist, then why is it called Daddy's Bad Place? There is one more place that piqued my interest, and it's this. 2 floating orbs conversing like it's a Zoom meeting. One of them complains about the desert and having nothing to do, while the other reveals something interesting.
The Queen? She's awake, but still dormant. Trying to hide. Doesn't matter though, her progress is perfect. What about the other one?
The kid is still fast asleep, like a big dumb snoring baby.
The conversation continues on about this king and queen until we heard this. They end the meeting with an assumption that no one is listening, but even if they are, what can they really do about it? We still have one more place to visit, the public school. Inside is what you would expect, classroom, cafeteria, and a stage? To my surprise, our protagonist has very little to say about the school. However, after we descend the elevator, a faceless voice speaks to us.
Welcome to my factory. I trust that you'll find your own way around here.
There's a note to our left that talks about the stars, but to our right are posters of our protagonist. The texts are too blurry to accurately make out, but as we step foot onto the main floor, the head of production asks us to crush its head. Our protagonist has nothing to say about this request, but seems to accept it as our objective. If we continue forward, we'd see it, the head in the red room. From this distance, it looks like the head is screaming, but when we talk to the medallion man to the right, it confirms to us that the head wants to be killed despite being the person that keeps the factory running. The head is miserable, begging for us to make it as painful as possible. But upon closer inspection, it's exactly that, a head hooked up to wires that keeps them alive. The question is obvious. Why is there a factory underneath the elementary school, and what are they making? But I want to point your eyes towards this very room. We need to make it through this pathway without being compressed into a red mist. However, I was still getting used to the tank control and ended up... Did you see it? This achievement is called Generational Trauma, a literal crushing force on your very being. Normally, achievements are marked of something you've done, however, these marks seems to be highly specific. I didn't show you earlier, but upon completing a level without using the syringe, you get this achievement, which could be more evidence showing us that our protagonist has either had a negative experience in the past, or someone who hates needles. But what we see next is something I have no explanation for. The medallion man explains that they grow parasitic enamels to implant onto children to train their AI model, which then regurgitate out new lessons for said children. That alone is an Ouroboros idea, but the button is right there, so I'd much rather ask if the medallion man can move aside. Traveling to the other side of the factory, we encounter a couple of these floating gearhead, which I dispatch easily. However, what the next medallion man says finally made me understand why the head is so miserable. When a child has outlasted their use, we melt them down into slags and turn that into new butter knives and egg slicer. I think that recycling is beautiful, don't you? There is still one more place to explore, and that place is the pressure valve to the crusher. So I cranked it up to exactly 500 and hit the button. It was beyond brutal. I know they ask us to make it as painful as possible, but the thought of having something try to crush your skull, fail, and twist your head and jaw apart made me recoil. I still wonder why someone would install 2 pistons there if that head was so important, but I think it's to torture them in case they become disobedient again. However, what I thought was the final level ended up revealing a deeper layer. Human seedbed. Exploring the eerie facility reveals that humans of this world, or at least some of them, are manufactured out of clay. All of these are newborns, learning and growing in this terribly dark facility. There wasn't anything here that... A perfect invitation. The head vibrate uncontrollably, its eyes always on us. But I wasn't afraid of it being here to us me. Okay, maybe just a little.
I never sensed a bomb so pure, fearless spirit the grip of fate.
What is this place? An endless blood ocean? Iron lung? Hell? I couldn't even fathom the meaning of why this place exists or how we descended so far down. Strange building creature. A basil man? Basil? The walls and floors are red and pulsating like living flesh. There's these white eggs laying around that block our path, and the monster that flies towards us that moans in a disgusting way. Whatever those things are in the red ocean is also in this cage, screaming as if it was begging to be let out. This place probably has the most amount of abnormalities I've seen thus far. However, the longer I spend here, the more I come to accept that it's got a strange catharsis feeling to it. Like that feeling of doom you can't quite control. So all you can really do is accept the end. But this isn't an end of the world scenario. These buildings are alive, and after talking to this guy, we find out that the moths are killing the buildings, meaning we need to gather ingredients to create a deadly pesticide in order to get rid of them. The last one has to be in this district that resembles a city block, but it's a lot closer than I thought, especially because of how big this place is. I rush back, deposit them, and this happens. The guy we spoke to earlier informed us of an egg down under the building, but when we head back, we see this. A taproot that created all buildings, but no egg in sight. So I tried talking, then looking, then touching, then...
There's only one.
What have you done?
There was something I didn't show you guys in the beginning because I thought that it wasn't important, but during the sewer level and now this strange hollow nursery, you can encounter a church with a strange statue. A statue that's worshipped by the Thrates. Talking to this Thrate elder reveals that the statue is of a queen, and with everything we saw earlier, this has to be our Queen of Venus, someone who disappeared a long time ago. I don't know what these faceless giants represent, but whatever this world is, its true nature is being dismantled by our protagonist's hammer. So we head to our last location. DNA lines the floor, but our protagonist...
Kind of place is this? Why is this place?
All she knows is that the elevator takes us even further down. But as we exit, we can see this. While exploring, we find a path blocked by this thing, which the allele on our right asks us to destroy with this syringe. On our way to unlock the machine, we find beings that represent our biology, such as this one, that gives us chronic disease, or this one that makes you decay. Okay, but the thing that I don't understand is this. No observation, no talking, not even a touch. We get our DNA sequence and head back to get rid of that baby worm thing. What? No, I definitely put it in correctly. Why didn't it work? Wait, this is DNA of that creature. So all we're doing is putting more of it in. But remember what that origin creature said earlier? The consequence for DNA damage is deadly, like potential mutation or cancer. Now, normally your body can catch and deal with these damaged DNA before you experience them, but what if? There we go. I'm honestly surprised the game makes you learn DNA.
What did you do? You injected something into that primordial information, didn't you? It's all dying. It's spreading and dying. There's no more DNA, no more instruction.
What just happened? Why the conflicting info? One allele told us to destroy the thing blocking the way, but the other told us we just doom all of DNA? Did we just doom all of humanity? There was only one way to find out, and that was to go to the deepest layer of the hell? Earth? I don't know. But the only place left to go was Symbol, and once we enter it, we are met with an apartment complex layout. Going to the elevator reveals this. Everything that I thought I knew or felt was all of a sudden shattered. This whole time, I really did believe that this was just all in her head, but as we descend farther and farther into this madness, I start to believe whatever it is that's happening is real. I mean, what conspiracy does this place even represent? Everything about this world defies common sense. As we explore the first of many paths, we eventually stumble into... What is this thing? I originally thought that this might be a boss fight, but when spoken to, it explains that it is one of the 4 paragons floating in this one of people, flesh, concept, and symbol. These beings encourage the protagonist to kill them and understand the component of life, but while we were walking around, this particular symbol person reveals this: a usurper. Here, in the oldest part of the kingdom? Ha! What a joke. You could never weave a story like that. You could never create something like this. A true monarch would never be ugly like you. Does this mean that our protagonist is somehow combining all of this knowledge to achieve... Throughout this whole journey, we've seen a lot of strange and terrible things. We've practically broken every system we've come across, and yet... our protagonist has been silent about everything. With all 4 concepts in our control, we return and... What? Did I miss something? So after wasting my time exploring this entire massive kingdom again, I decided to, well, use the protagonist's way. Using all 4 keys, we reach the egg of the earth, which unlocks...
I'm falling. I feel like it's been coming for a while, but it never does. Deeper into the earth, deeper into dirt and rock and limbs and sinew.
I couldn't tell if our protagonist has a mask on or she's straight up breathing through the helmet somehow, but the creatures from the very beginning seem to have evolved. Their face no longer like a mask. They make these weird noises, but what I couldn't wrap my head around is this magic circle in the distance. The Threat Elder tells us that this is the old throne of the queen, and the shedding of that queen going through metamorphosis.
This is it, the life meter of the world. I see it and I somehow know exactly what to do. Finger movements and speaking. Words I know but have never heard. A warm, a love, I will make you anew, born to flesh from ash and clay. There you are, my wonderful child. This world has been changed. It has been twisted into something it is not. It will change more. Perhaps that is inevitable. Let us awaken your siblings. There are no secrets now. I see everything within my domain. Thank you, dear Helmet. You were perfect in every way, baby. I'm feeling pretty good. Let's leave this all and never look back.
Did our protagonist just turn into the Queen of Venus? What started as something I felt was a delusion turned out to all be real. I thought she was destroying the eggs, but she's been tossing them towards the center of the earth. That note we read in the beginning about the earth losing mass might be why this place is hollow. I don't know what this all means, but that isn't all, because there is 3 more secrets we have yet to see. There is a chance encounter with the aberrant location where we can find the ancient future place. Upon going forward, we get to see this stone of 2 smiling figures. The one on the left is someone wearing a helmet, just like our protagonist, but what we don't know is who this person on the right is. However, a hidden forbidden location opens up, and when you visit it, you'll find a library with a note that talks about Caldman 4. An interstellar phenomenon that looks like this, which maybe that's her doing, but after putting down the note and exiting, this happens. The entrance has changed. When we enter it, we see this. Confirming that she has flown far away. This time we awaken in a new perspective. A man with a black mask in a motel. But once we exit and go downstairs, we see the King of Dogs again. It's here to bring a warning. I can't tell you if this warning is about the newly awakened queen or something else left behind by her. But the King of Dogs needs our help, and we have to go gather some people to a meeting spot. Our new protagonist used a nail as his weapon, and this place he's in is a lot more normal than what we had just went through. We meet mother, father, and child, which once we get back to the original meeting spot, this happens. At this point, nothing had really been answered to me, especially about who these people are. But wait, there's something I have yet to show you guys because I've forgotten to get the final key. But I believe that this is the last piece of the puzzle that could explain everything. So I had to play the game one more time, gathering every single secret key, which unlocks the home sequence. This time, we are in third person and we are traveling through this strange place with varying degrees of eerie noises. There are murals and graffitis, but there's also this person. I don't know what it is, but we continue to descend farther and farther until we get to what looks like a brain. it's ethereal, like a place long forgotten and untouched by time itself. I think this might be the first time we've seen the moon as well, even if it is bloody red. But in the distance, we see two figures. Figures I can't help but compare to yin and yang. So I got close. This is the distant past. The two knew each other, but perhaps in a different time and place? Our protagonist is Venus, and I think she was compelled to go on this journey. While it started as her digging up some government secret, it turned out she is the biggest secret of them all. But what is this world? What did Venus leave behind that caused such a catastrophic destruction? And most importantly, what is the dog's plan? I initially brushed off that orb meeting, but now that I know the queen is referring to Venus, they need both of these figures alive. However, to ensure things run smoothly, only one of them should be awakened at a time. But still, are the dogs pitting the two against each other? They clearly don't respect Mercury and potentially manipulated Venus. If the dogs know about this and the Thraits worship Venus, then there has to be some kind of connection there. That means that these dogs existed way before the current clay human civilization. Whatever it is that they're planning, whatever Venus chooses to do now, we may never know. But until the second game comes out, one thing is for certain. The king is awake. Thank you guys for watching all the way to here. Tell me what you guys think of this crazy game. Okay, that big.